Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about my favorite shows of all time. These are my personal picks, but I lived alone in a foreign country by myself, so I had a lot of time to watch television when I started out. They say we live in the golden age of television. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like we're actually oversaturated with television, and I think some of the better shows came before that time. I also want to go into how I judge a television show. How I judge most shows has to do with this. When I'm watching a television show or movie, a lot of times I find myself just sitting there with my phone, and these are the shows that really engage me. I could not look away. These are shows that I'm always engaged and need to know what's going to happen next, and I'm on the edge of my seat for. So these are my top 5 in order. Number 5, I gotta go with Seinfeld. Anytime I'm looking for a comedy to laugh or have a good time, I gotta say by far Seinfeld is my favorite comedy. I love the idea of it always being one big joke. I think some of the things they did in the television show going back in the day was ahead of its time as far as what they could get away with on television. I also think that it was just brilliant. The show is timeless in itself because it always deals with social situations, and I think it'll be just as relevant today as it was then. Number 4. The next show on my list has to be The Sopranos. I think The Sopranos was great. Although the finale was not fantastic, I love what the show did. I think HBO brought us very far. In fact, a couple of shows, one more show on my list is from HBO. The thing about The Sopranos, it was a interesting story. It was ahead of its time. It was a little bit, it was like the first, not the first show, but one of the most interesting shows that HBO had. They took a risk with it. It was very interesting. And I found myself going through all the seasons, really enjoying the show for what it was. Number 3. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I gotta say it's The Walking Dead. I really love The Walking Dead. I'm always on the edge of my seat for it. And the second season of the show is definitely weak. But I always like the premise of zombie movies, and to see like a television show go on for a while. And I know it's based on the comics, but what I really love about it has to do with the fact that it's not about the zombies. It's always about how humans react to the zombie situation. And that's always been fascinating because the longer you go through a zombie situation, you're now more worried about the people than you are the zombies. I love the interesting transition. And every single time I get sick of the show, every time I get frustrated, every time they do something that makes me mad or upset, they do something that keeps me hooked. So although I don't think it's the greatest writing, although I don't always think that it's the greatest story, but when it comes to being hooked to a show, when it comes to being entertaining, engaging, and having some shocking scenes in it, it's fantastic. Also recommend the comics if you want to check that out. Dos. The next show on my list has to be The Wire. And I almost had it my number 1. If you've never seen The Wire, you have to check out this show. It's one of those shows that I don't understand how it didn't win any awards. It's set in Baltimore, and you see it from the criminal's perspective and the drug dealer's perspectives and the cops. And that just blew my mind. It was awesome. Plus, they have beepers, which is unbelievable. So it takes you a little bit back. The show is not in HD, but it's gritty. It feels real. You're on the edge of your seat. You feel for the criminals, and you also feel for the police. There's a couple seasons in there that are a little bit weaker than others, but I found myself overall engaged, and I thought it was a fantastic show. So that's what I went along with. Also, you can't go wrong with The Wire. Everybody has to experience this show. I can't stress it enough. Number 1. My number 1 pick has to be Breaking Bad, and I'll explain to you why. I've seen so many shows out there that have a great idea, great characters, great stories, and they just keep going with it. For me, Dexter was like the number 1 show that was like that. Dexter was a great show, had great seasons, and it just went on and on and on, and it just killed the excitement of the show. Breaking Bad, okay, some seasons might be weaker than others, but the ending, I mean, the way that last season is, it's just you're on the edge of your seat for every single part of it. Bryan Cranston is amazing. It's so fun watching the characters develop. The acting is unbelievable, and you're hooked. So if it's what television should be, I would say The Wire is up there, but Breaking Bad set the tone for all television shows. Hey guys, that's my top 5. Feel free to write down your top 5 in the comments below. Again, what do you think about television? Like I said, I think there's so many great shows, but I think the amount of excellent TV has dropped over the years. I think it's great, but there's lots of better actors and things, but I haven't really been engaged in much in this series. Guys, please give me a like at the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.